Kanpai!
Kanpai!
Kanpai, everyone. Kanpai. Well, welcome as I talk with my glass in my mouth, because I'm talented that way. Welcome to episode 92 of Kanpai Cast. This is going to be an episode all about how technology is portrayed in anime in various ways. It could be just like the setting. It could be how it affects the plot. We're gonna go into I think a lot of different directions. But first, shall we do some housekeeping, gentlemen?
Yes, please.
Right,
I'm feeling a little dusty right here.
we don't have a huge amount, but let us know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see for episode 100. We're quickly creeping up on that. I mean, it's only 8 episodes away. Jeez. I don't think we currently have anything special planned. It may just end up being another episode. We'll see. But we're also opening up memes to the audience. So if you want to see your memes in the meme section of this show, go to the Discord. You can find a link to the Discord in the description. And there's going to be a special channel where you can submit your memes for us. And either one of us will pick from them, or we'll get somebody, an impartial third party to pick from them, and we'll add them to the meme rotation. I think it's going to be pretty fun. And finally, we're coming up on the 3-episode rule already. We just had the full season review for spring, but because it was a little late, we're already pushing 3 episodes. And if there's anything that you would specifically like to see us review, anything that you're watching, and you want to make sure that we're watching it too, let us know in the comments. You know, what shows have grabbed your attention so far? What ones are so bad you'd like to see us suffer? You know, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything to add.
No, that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna lie. I've started a bunch of them, and a non-zero, well, actually a very large number of them are just like,
yeah,
I cannot see me getting to 6 episodes on this. Like, there's only thus far 2 that I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, new ones, not like sequel ones, but there's only like 2 new ones that I'm like, yeah, this first episode is an absolute smash hit. I know I'm going to keep going with this one.
So, if you want to force Xeno to suffer through some of these ones, even if he doesn't like them, feel free to comment in, and
he'll at least make it to 3
stays
episodes.
watching them.
Yeah.
The
other side of this is, let's open it up to memes can also be submitted into the descriptions of the YouTube channel. Though, fair warning, right? There's a high chance, not description, comment section, sorry. There's a high chance YouTube will just actually delete it for you. Because it's just like, oh, this is just a URL. We don't like this, but it's clearly bad. And, so, but the idea, well, I mean, even if it's a case of it increases engagement, I'm fine with that. But yeah, there you go.
That's a fair point. All right.
Alrighty.
All right. So moving on to the main body of the topic. This week, and I'm not saying we did do this, but we definitely did. We came up with the topic much earlier in the week, and then didn't do our homework until like maybe earlier today.
I blame Dave the Diver.
Yes.
Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver.
Living it up while he's going down.
Regardless of that. So the whole concept of this is like, where does technology sit in terms of anime? Like, what kind of inspiration does it take? What kind of inspirations could we take from it? So on and so forth.
What did it predict right? What technology did anime predict in the past that has come through in the future?
I certainly can't readily do that. I can't readily think of like what has been predicted in the past, because like I just see this like weird obsession with CRT TVs and PCs and things. Like, that's like the one thing that never got predicted to actually improve over time, which I always thought was hilarious. But yeah,
we can get into that later.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to begin with this, Xeno? What was your first thought when you saw this topic?
Well, I kind of want to go into artificial intelligence, because
right,
this is like the the shit when it comes to anything that's currently going on. AI this, AI that, so on and so forth. And I kind of feel that a lot of Medium doesn't really touch on the subject of AI much. Yeah, so we have the what's called the narrative of Vivy Flourite song, which is absolutely amazing, and I'm getting a thunderstorm, so if my power goes, that's not my fault. What's called it has this amazing narrative behind it, but there's always this weird obsession that AI is going to overthrow humanity. And one thing I always struggle to understand is, like, why do people think AI is going to operate on the same level as humanity? Right?
I will tell you part of the problem. It's they look at stuff like Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon and how they were unsuccessful and you know, and were supplanted by a more successful variant of hominid. And so they see AI and they go, yes, this is clearly the next evolutionary step, and will supplant humanity because it will be more fit for the environment. It'll be able to survive in conditions that humanity couldn't, or, you know, wouldn't.
Is that...
I want to go one simpler than that.
Okay.
I would suggest that the reason that so many things predict the horror of AI is because they realize that AI would be essentially flawed. And where AI would see efficiency, for example, as a greater goal, or where AI would be programmed wrong and value different things to humanity, or worse, that it would value the wrong things about humanity.
Or
so
it would be... there's a really good short story called The Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect, and it thought it was doing humanity a favor by basically, like, making them immortal and uploading, like, essentially uploading them all to the internet and, you know, all this other weird stuff. And there are other examples of that too, where it thinks it's doing a good thing by being authoritarian to an extreme level. You know, it's protecting humanity from itself.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at, is that AI wouldn't have the values that we have, and so, or would have the wrong values that certain people on the planet value, and so would act in a way that is overall horrific to humanity, even though a few people think that would be the way to go.
Even though technically more people are alive, they're all cared for, you know, all their needs are met in terms of food, shelter, that sort of thing. But they live in a dystopian hellscape where they can't actually do anything.
Life but not living is the thing. I mean, Xeno, what do you think? Because you look at current AI or algorithmic intelligence compared to the AI of, say, Terminator. And
so
it's massively different.
The interesting thing is, I like to call it commercial AI. Right?
Yeah.
It's the AI that's marketed and sold and things like this. But regardless, your point still stands. We're talking services like ChatGPT. We're talking Midjourney. We're talking all sorts of weird and wonderful shit here. And one of the more interesting things is, to me, what is the difference between artificial intelligence and a calculator, right? Realistically, artificial intelligence needs to have its own defined objective, its own personal goals, its own, you know, like, I think to me the most perfect example of artificial intelligence, or a comparison, is in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where you have Data and the Enterprise's computer, right?
Yeah, that's actually yeah. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Data actually has wants and desires, and the ship's computer just has a natural language processor. It can understand natural language and is able to extrapolate context. It's able to derive what it like a quantifiable value of what it is you're after, to return a high probability result of what you want. But it has no desires. It's just there to assist. Yeah, it is just the ship's computer. It is just so in computer science we call them modalities, right?
Yeah.
So, which is why I hate it when people call the little pop-up dialogue windows modals. It's like, no, that's not a modal, right? A modal is I can't hold it up. A mouse, a keyboard, a gamepad, a screen, a webcam, a microphone. Right? It's how you interface with the technology.
It's the I/O devices, yeah.
Yes, exactly, right? The actual computer itself, the base station, is not a modal, right? It's what all the modals hook into, right? And that's what that's the big crux of it. And one of the big things that I find that people do not seem to grasp is the most complicated thing in the world, right? Is how subjective things can get. Like, if you say you want to have a desire, Data has the desire to become more human, right?
Yeah.
How would you program that, right? You could say, like, you have an object, and this is one of the really nice things that Vivy touches upon.
Yeah.
Right? Is the fact that they couldn't.
She starts out very much like the Enterprise computer in that she only has the goal that she was programmed with. But she develops beyond that.
Not just that, but they show earlier models of like AI where it's like they give it multiple tasks and the AI just shits itself. Like the AI that they design and develop can only really handle one thing at a time, right? And that's why Vivy's mission is so vague, right? You're supposed to make people happy by singing with the heart and things like that, and she's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? And she's trying to discern what that actually means and things. That is a proper representation of AI. So what does singing with the heart truly mean, right?
Exactly.
But things like the Terminator was like, well, systemically, like why does Skynet believe that the salvation of mankind is its extinction? Right? Like, even in a dictionary, one does not equal the other. So how does it come to these conclusions? Right?
You take that another step. How did the AI in the Matrix decide that because the solar energy was unavailable, that bioenergy was that much more efficient than any other format?
It wasn't. Part of that was revenge. Because if you watch the Animatrix with the second Renaissance, that's really explained more. It's as much revenge as it is. Yeah, it's really
canonical?
not. Yeah, I believe the second Renaissance is canonical. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's surprising. Is that the horror aspects of things like Terminator is where it's made a decision that we would not logically agree with.
It's like, surely by the definition of like 1 and 0, right? How on earth does this AI come to this conclusion, right? It's like, if you have to make leaps in logic yourself as a human being so that it makes sense for this AI to just nuke all of humanity, then like, if you're making this leap, how is the computer making this leap? It doesn't make sense.
It's possible that they programmed it to try and like take care of the planet because pollution and whatnot. And it thought the best way to do that would be to get rid of humanity.
That is
because we're the ones that fuck up the planet.
Because you think about even the Matrix went into that with Agent Smith. You know that humans are a disease.
Dirty.
I will tell you. Okay, here's a question: have either of you read the books by Isaac Asimov?
No.
No, I think I've read like a couple. I know Asimov is. Okay. I know I'm a terrible person for not reading Asimov. He's a giant to me in the sci-fi.
Okay. Yeah. He's also very, very heavy to get through.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody, and I can understand not reading him. But this, the AI thing there, came back to a very good little discussion. Is the book made it clear that 3 artificial intelligence-driven robots were having debates constantly about the 3 laws of robotics.
Didn't they have to add a zeroth law eventually?
That's exactly it, the zeroth law.
Yeah.
I read the part where this came into being.
So for anyone, assume no one here has actually read it. What is it?
So the 3 laws of robotics are very simply that a robot cannot cause harm to a human, through inaction cause a human to come to harm, or cause other. I think it's the third one is something.
They can't cause harm to themselves except for to save a human's life.
Exactly. They should self-preserve except for saving the life of a human.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 3 laws that are hard-coded into every robot in the Asimov universe that prevents them not only from overthrowing humanity, but also from letting humanity cause harm to itself. Right? But preserving humanity's free will, right? So a human is able to make their own choices. So the bit that they debated, these 3 robots in the time, debated back and forth about these laws, about these 3 laws, and how they constrained them.
Trying to find loopholes.
One of them was much more aggressive than the others. And in a moment of extreme stress, where the choice came between they wanted to save a human's life from another human. And one of them was able to break the laws by coming up with a zeroth law, right? That harming a human was acceptable if it saved another human's life.
I don't think that's right.
It was basically that it was that a human may be harmed if it specifically came down to, that human causing harm to another human.
I'm going to actually
going back.
A robot. The first law: a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Second law: a robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Third law: a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. I don't know if they have the zeroth law in here. Three laws are the only way in which rational human beings can. The zeroth law. Gaia may not harm life or allow life to come to harm.
Gaia is a planet with collective intelligence.
Oh, it's in the Foundation series. Yeah,
that's above that. So, Asimov wants added a zeroth law, so named to continue the pattern where lower numbered laws supersede the ones higher above.
A robot may not harm humanity. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Yes.
A robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm, which is similar to first law, but it's humanity as opposed to a human. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, it just allowed. So in this direct situation that it allowed it was that one human held another human at gunpoint and was seconds away from pulling the trigger. The intent was deliberate. The action was guaranteed. Okay.
Yeah.
One human would have killed another, and the robot in question used a monofilament blade and threw it.
Right.
And
because technically that does not violate the first law.
in that throw, what could have happened is that he sliced through the gun, right, and destroyed the weapon. But his conscious action was to slice through the human's wrist and cut off the human's hand, which was a far more guaranteed way of making sure that no harm came to the other human.
Yeah.
So it specifically allows for harming a singular human in the extreme case that it would protect other humans.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing leap of logic for 3 AIs when you think about it.
Not just that, but you've also got to think about this in terms of if you consider biological function, right? We can hold our breath for a limited amount of time. We cannot stop our heart, right? You know, we have a biological wiring in our brain that prevents us from being able to stop our heart. Yes, we can have abnormalities that, you know, people, you know, just all of a sudden they die because their heart just stops.
Yes.
Right?
Through concentration, we can lower our heart rate consciously.
Yes.
But we cannot ever stop it consciously.
Yes. And a lot of the time, it takes a lot of effort to be able to lower your heart rate. As someone who used to suffer quite badly from a heart condition, I had to be able to do this, and being able to focus on lowering my heart rate, you know, it took minutes. It wasn't like, oh, and now I'm going to set it to 50 beats per minute, right? I couldn't just, like, you know, flip a switch. Yeah.
What is that? Biofeedback? I think that's biofeedback. I could be wrong about that.
I'm not entirely sure. But my whole point is, like, to me, if these laws are so medulla oblongata, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be absolute.
Yeah, like, you should not be able to modify the functions of the medulla oblongata while it is currently in use.
That's the theory, isn't it? Yes.
Right.
But it was
obviously,
yeah.
Obviously, you know, there is, like, you know, oh well, you should be, you know, if you're smart about it, you could technically modify these things electronically, right? I mean, just because we have the principles of biology applied to a lot of what we do does not necessarily mean we have the same principles.
Imagine we actually understood every single bit about how the brain functions. We understand a fair bit, but there's still quite a bit that we, you know, it's like,
yeah.
Imagine we could modify the structure of the medulla oblongata while it's in somebody's head.
Sorry. We have to be careful here because we are not biologists.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you, right, as someone with an electronics, computer systems engineering degree, right, to modify the code that is currently running is nigh impossible, because while you're trying to modify the code as it is being run would cause the entire system to crash.
But we do have examples of, like, doing that to biological portions of the, like, other parts of the brain get damaged or removed or
that's what like certain parts of RAM are for and things like this.
Yeah.
So the whole point of RAM is random access memory, right?
So it can be accessed at any time in any fashion.
But do you know what ROM is?
It's like the actual information on the disk.
No. ROM is read-only memory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Read-only memory is like, you know, this it is programmed, right? And then you cannot modify it. Once it is there, right? You cannot modify it without removing that chip from the motherboard and then reprogramming it.
Yes.
Oh, so it's more like
what's so clever about how Asimov did it is because he had 3 individuals in concert linked, able to modify each other's and come up with something new by concert. So you couldn't write over the read-only memory, but you could write new read-only memory by having somebody else do it to you.
In principle, yes.
It's like flashing your BIOS.
It only worked in the case of artificial intelligence, actual artificial intelligence.
So
not what we're looking at now.
Yeah, it's so there's like loads of different things when it comes to AI and things, and I do think that AI has a huge role to play, pretty much as depicted by Vivy. I think realistically, humanity will get to a point where, we will own what's called AI. We'll own, let's call them drones, right? The drones will have baseline functions, not proper personalities. They won't have wants and desires. They won't, it'll
be like Alexa. Only can move around.
Yeah, and effectively what we have our Alexas do is go out and do menial tasks.
Yeah.
So it'll be beyond just asking Alexa to go get the groceries for us. It'll actually be go to that supermarket, work there
instead of just
for
ordering
the next 12 hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go work at that pizzeria. Go make the pizzas at that pizzeria. Right? Go work at that.
We're already sort of seeing that they're trying to replace fast food workers with robots and stuff, because that's a very menial task that it can just do. It doesn't even really need any intelligence for that.
That falls into Xeno's thing of its commercial artificial intelligence again.
Yeah.
That's just trying to cut corners.
We will get to a point. We'll get to a point where it's like, if
it actually has to deal with customers and think creatively, it's any degree.
Well, it'll get to a point where society will become no longer sustainable, right? And effectively, money will just lose all worth, and effectively we'll either have a credit-based system, or people will just stop wanting random inane shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's I can't
Loz
knows the term for this. It's
post-scarcity?
Post-energy scarcity. Yeah, post-energy scarcity.
Post-energy scarcity.
Also, there's also the singularity point, which is a different sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's
singularity
similar.
is where technology gets complex enough that it becomes intelligent on its own.
Right.
Among others, there are many different types of singularity point, but
there's a couple of others. Yeah. So a post-energy scarcity and a post-scarcity environment where we have things like that would also entail being able to access food and basic necessity needs without any involvement with the outside world. And so then interaction with other people would purely be for pleasure. I could come see you guys at any time because there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Yeah.
So personally, I think if we were to put effort into this, we could see these sort of drones within the next 10 years. If we put in the resources to strive towards it for the betterment of mankind, we could easily see these in the next 10 years. But capitalism doesn't want that.
Let's face it. The first application of this is going to be military. Let's face it.
Yes, and it would only really succeed in an energy positive environment.
We're going to need like fusion or more nuclear fission, or
England is working on. England's
wind
working
energy.
On nuclear fusion right now, and they are doing the first tests of it as of last year. So if that's successful, in 10 years, we might actually develop that.
I mean, just imagine a situation where, people don't have cars. Cars just exist.
Right? Yeah. It's sort of like there's a system in a lot of places where you can like rent a bike. It'd be like that, only without the rental fee.
What I'm thinking is effectively there are cars.
Yeah.
And effectively you say to your drone, right, I need to go to work, right? Can you drive me to work, right?
Yeah. So a car is just requisitioned.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need to have the car 24/7. Oh, drone, can you go get me... can you go get my kid from school today, right? Drone, my wife is, working late. Can you go pick her up from work, You know, it's things like that, right? Where you know, I think at some point in time we would be able to have drones that could do like more complex things that, you know, to a point they could actually build other drones, right? But I feel that we'll hit a point where it's just a case of, well, menial jobs like, you know, even waiters and waitresses, bartenders, you know, clerks at cinemas, post office clerks. There'll be so many jobs that will, in a heartbeat, just disappear, right?
Yeah.
And
that's why I say it'll only work in that situation where we're post scarcity. Yeah. Because unless those jobs being irrelevant is then suddenly viable for the population.
I mean, a good example is the Industrial Revolution, where suddenly instead of 100 people picking a field, you only needed one person driving a tractor. You know, so suddenly a bunch of jobs were eliminated, and they either had to move to other places, or they had to countries had to create like social safety nets of some kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I honestly, I think it should be a point where it's just like, well, you know, people can just enjoy life. They can be more expressive, more creative. You know, and
the Federation.
Basically, exactly. I want the Sonic. I want the Federation of Planets. Give me a. Anyway, right.
Yes. Okay.
However, I think that's peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone through AI a lot. Let's turn this to more mundane uses.
Actually,
the internet.
I have a direction, right?
Yes.
So, actually taking it on the road to AI, I kind of want to look at the whole cybernetics thing, right?
Yeah, that's where I was going with this.
And the first point I want to go with is actual just generic organ replacement, right? So we're not talking full body prosthetics. We're not talking, you know, wiring our brains into the internet, and you know. So we are currently just talking about replacing a very important organ with a machine, right?
All right. What anime are you drawing this one from?
Lycoris Recoil.
Lycoris Recoil.
Right? So with with Lycoris Recoil, you know, you learn about it at some point in the series. Our main protagonist.
Well, it's everyone who's a Lycoris, isn't it?
No. It's just her. Right?
Just her.
She has a fully cybernetic heart. Right, because well, no, it's not. It's an artificial heart, completely artificial, right? And basically, at a very young age, her heart gave out, and she needed a replacement. And this wonder technology is so advanced, right, that very few people are able to get it, sort of thing. And this agency is kind of lording over who gets this technology, so on and so forth. But I think that, you know, being able to fully replace limbs, being able to replace eyes, being able to replace
getting really close to that.
You know, we're getting really good prosthetics now, with, you know, some proper motorized control with like hands and things. We're not, you know, Ghost in the Shells level as of yet.
We still can't do artificial hearts.
Not even Cyberpunk level.
No.
We're actually getting really close to artificial pancreases, though. I know somebody that has an insulin pump, right? And it attaches to their body, like it's not. It just sticks on, and then they've got a sensor on the arm, and the sensor reads their blood sugar and talks directly to the pump to release insulin. And it's like they just have a new pancreas. They just have an artificial pancreas now.
And that's cool. Like, so I ended up watching a YouTube series yesterday. Actually, I've only just discovered it, called Last Meal, right? And I watched. What's the name? The comedian's name is Fluffy. It's like his like, you know, his moniker's Fluffy.
Oh, Gabriel Iglesias.
Thank you. Fucking funny ass shit guy. He's so funny, right?
Great storyteller.
Right? Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Unlike me. But he actually has one of these sensors. Now, I've seen a bunch of people with these sensors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that thing on their arm?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was until he had actually explained it. Right? I'm like, oh my god, all these TikTokers and influencers that I'd seen with these things, I had no idea what the fuck it was until he explained it. And, you know, it's incredible. So having a sensor on your body for it to automatically go like, you need more insulin.
Yep.
You know, it's
and then it just, you don't even have to interact with it. Like he used to have to interact with it. He used to have to scan it and then feed that information to the other device. But it just does it automatically. Or well, it's supposed to do. The next version does it automatically. Yeah. I was just like, that's so cool.
So, little personal input on that one. Just completely circumstantial. I do occasional readings for one of those Reddit read channels on YouTube, which I'm not allowed to say which one.
Okay.
One of the stories I read about 6 months back was literally about a kid who has one of these, and his teacher didn't understand this and came along and physically with scissors cut the cable.
What?
Yeah, thought this kid was on his phone in class and came along and cut the cable, thinking he was like had his phone on a charger.
Those things are not cheap either.
No, the backlash was substantial, and that teacher got substantial comeuppance. But that's my closest relevant info on it. But yeah, these things are getting more and more common, and they are a precursor to what we will eventually get, because eventually we will get a little device that's actually in the place for the pancreas.
Yeah, it'll just
do
replace
all of that from the inside. Yeah, you got a little node on the outside of your body that you charge it up with occasionally. That's it.
I mean, one thing I will say is like one thing I like. So, working towards the upgrade of Notice We Senpai with the whole VR stuff, we tried our first ever run of it today, and I've actually gone like, fuck, maybe I should actually look to get laser eye surgery so I don't have to wear my glasses. So,
yeah,
I mean, saved up, that's what I'm getting, definitely.
Like that's the big thing. Like I love my glasses.
What's your level of minus, Xeno? Because you're short-sighted, aren't you?
This is 0.025 and this is 2.5.
Wow.
Oh, you guys use a different system than we do.
Yeah. I'm at -8, -6.
Yeah.
So I am my actual effective reading distance is 6 centimeters. So
I mean, to be fair though, I was like in the VR chat, Nasuth can attest. Sorry, this is a little off topic. Nasuth can attest. Like I was trying to lean over. I was like, what the fuck does that say? And like part of the problem is that you have to adjust the lenses so that they're the right distance apart, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's still great.
Think about though. Think of VR.
That's
another.
An early augmentation. There was actually something I was looking into at one point because I'm really badly nearsighted, among other things. There was a thing called eSight or eSight, and what it essentially was a VR. It was kind of like a VR headset, but it had a camera on the outside. And then the camera was like really, really super high def, right? And then you could inside you could blow stuff up to a huge amount.
Yes.
So you could like have really good vision. And they're also working on artificial eyes. Last I heard, they were only able to see like kind of see light and dark, but not really any like mass. Like they couldn't get shapes yet, really. But I mean, that's still pretty good for. Somebody who's completely blind, being able to see just light and dark would even be an improvement.
No, it's impressive what they can do so far, and I mean let's take that back into the anime kind of world. We're looking at the VR, looking at the augmented cybernetic side of things, and think about say yes, it's a bad show. Sword Art Online.
Oh God.
Deep dive software and hardware to allow you to
Neuralink.
experience something as directly piping the data into your brain. And I don't think that one's too far off.
Like, I was just trying to find it. I would love it if you could do that sort of thing. If you could hook
Jack into the internet.
No. Hook in your motor functions into an virtual environment.
Oh.
Without making them in real life. That's the
Right.
bit.
Right, because I mean, like, fuck. Nasuth,
How many times have you hit your shelf now?
My shelves. Like, I was like, what am I touching? Oh yeah, that's the shelves. Take one step to the left. You know, it's really easy to do, and I would love to just part of my concern is like if people there was a Bruce Willis movie called Surrogates, right? And the idea was that basically everyone lived in these pods effectively, and there was an artificial life form that looked like that person was effectively going around being remote controlled to act. Yeah, but like I kind of feel that in terms of virtual reality, in terms of like playing a game, like that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But you know, because you got like more.
Once you start getting to like James Cameron's Avatar level of technology, that's different.
Yeah, when you're starting to remote control a drone or something while lying in a bed, that's kind of like, that's kind of a direction of society I don't want us to go in, because I feel like too much of society would just
that said,
shut in needs.
It would be great for somebody who's like a quadriplegic.
Oh God, yes. Don't get me wrong, right? I completely agree with that, right? But okay, here's the thing for me, right? I would want this opportunity taken away from me because I'm a fat ass.
Yeah.
I need to exercise, right? I should not be sat in front of my computer day in, day out like I am for my occupation. I need to be more mobile, right?
Well, that's just
So
we just need to
need to invent a pill on board with the.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, you need a pill. Yes, the weight loss pill. Now, would you be more at home with, say, the omnidirectional treadmill from Ready Player One, and the motion tech from that, the haptic boot suit from that?
You're still controlling a drone, but you have to actually move around to do it.
Yes.
I would be. I genuinely would be. Especially if it means like just general movement and things like this, like physical movement and things. I feel it's like super important. Again, I would love to have that haptic feedback, because a lot of people have a huge issue with VR, virtual reality, where they can't walk around the environment and not physically move around in real space because it feels to them unnatural.
Yes.
I've managed to pick it up quite quickly. I don't like this whole jumping forward. I like a smooth progression forward, right?
So you are used to controllers where you can like guide your character forward anyway, aren't you?
Very much
from
so.
Video games. So once you get used to doing it from your own perspective, you can.
It causes vertigo in a lot of people because what they see and what they feel are different.
I think it's more than that. I think it's the depth perception, right? I think because typically when we're playing first-person shooter games, right, and we're going through this is still to do with augmented reality and VR headsets and shit. You know, there's still a point. I think the big thing is that because our depth perception is changing, but our internal
physical position,
that is the thing that's
that's what I mean.
Haywire, right?
What they see and what they feel are different.
Okay, fine. But yeah, I think I'm on board for the sort of like dynamic range of virtual reality or augmented reality or whatever that these full dive systems provide, right? I'm on board for that. But I'm a little concerned about the psychological aspects to it, which are things like people, like the escapism sort of thing, where people massively try to avoid their responsibilities and things in real life, you know, because
already seen that in real life with regular games, haven't we?
Yep.
There was a famous news article a while back where a Japanese couple sold their child on the black market so that they could keep playing World of Warcraft.
I was not aware of this.
You weren't? Okay, this was
me either.
Years ago. Okay, this was
a
years
Japanese
and years.
couple?
Yes, a Japanese couple played World of Warcraft so much that they actually, when she in fact did have a child, they sold it on the black market for like a black market adoption.
Yeah.
In order to maintain their lifestyle and keep playing.
I've heard stories of like horrible amounts of neglect and things where a child has unfortunately passed away because the parents were so engrossed in MMO games and things. But I don't recall, like, it vaguely rings a bell, but at the same time
it doesn't surprise me if it's true. Like,
yeah. This is more than a decade ago, but it was at the time very well known article on the topic. But this does bring us neatly into another anime where the psychological side of things is very, very important in the form of Cyberpunk. Sorry about the car engine.
It's fine. It's a Cyberpunk.
Because Cyberpunk, that's an anime where the deep dive and the augmentation, the personal replacement of meat parts with technology has got a real serious drawback to its thing in the form of a new type of a mania or mental illness in cyberpsychosis, where you lose yourself, your humanity, through too much augmentation, and that can be incredibly prolific in that world.
Yeah, because our brains aren't really designed. Like, you hear about people that lose a limb and then they get phantom limb pain. Our brains aren't really designed to deal with like the nerves being the nervous system messing around with it. Yeah. And I think eventually you could create an artificial limb that's just as good and has a very similar electric pulse, for lack of a better term, to real nerves. But it's who knows.
Well, to educate you both, there was a professor, Kevin Warwick, in I want to say Reading University. This is before 2010. I know this was before I finished my degree and everything. And he was doing some early stage cybernetics, like proper levels of cybernetics, where you could hook a machine up to your nervous system and be able to, and what he did was he actually created this artificial hand.
Yes, right? I think I've seen this.
The Skywalker hand. That's what he was experimenting into, the Skywalker hand, where it would actually move physically.
Based on how you thought.
Yes.
Not just that, but the other side of it was the feedback back.
Yeah.
So that they're getting the feedback, and he actually had these pressure sensors on the thumb and index finger, and he picked up an egg, and he could actually feel the pressure applied to the egg, pushing back on the egg. Another experiment he did was he actually linked his emotions. He linked himself and his wife together, sort of thing, and over great distances they could feel what the other one was feeling.
Oh, there's a great podcast about technology like that called Limetown, and it goes bad. It goes real bad. It's such a good podcast.
I'm kind of on board for a lot of this stuff. Like, I got dodgy knees, replace my knees.
Yeah.
I got Should you be able to enhance yourself? I don't know. I mean,
probably.
I don't see why not.
Depending on, it's no real different than getting a prosthesis if you lose a limb.
But a prosthesis but see, that's involuntary. Should you be allowed to chop off parts of your body voluntarily and replace them with artificial stuff? No. Is that healthy?
I mean, I think it really depends, because like if I could get my eyes replaced, I would.
Yeah,
right?
But your eyes are faulty.
Available, and how proven is the tech in the first place? The real problem with something like Cyberpunk is that the people that make the technology are cruel and heartless bastards.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely true.
But again, that's a direction that any world can go in. I mean, like, you know, I hate to throw our American audience under the bus or make them feel sad, but like, look how the medical system in America works. It's just like, oof.
Yep.
Why are you putting a value on human life like that?
That's literally what the medical system in Cyberpunk is based off.
Yeah.
Where if you don't have insurance at insane levels, you don't get service.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean that it's a whole new market, right?
There's a drugs, you know, I can attest to that. There's a drug for diabetes that also has the side effect of helping people lose weight, but I can't get it because my A1C is too good. Now, if I was on that's a measurement of your blood glucose over like the past 3 months. And a healthy A1C is around 5 or 6.
Sure.
You have to have over like a 7 or 8, I think, in order to get this drug on my insurance. But if I had a private insurance that cost a lot more, or cost tons of money, then I could get it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's strange.
Like I'm on board for a lot of like cybernetic replacement. I think that they should remain as possible as close to your original.
Okay, so how do you feel about there's an example of people that have like double leg amputations, and they get these really cool like if they compete in the Paralympics or something, then there are some of them that have these really cool leg prostheses that essentially let them run faster than a normal human could run.
So there's a debate on that.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Okay, so
I know those ones, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
So my concern about why a prosthetic should be as close to the original as possible only stems from the psychological implications. Like, what is the mental impact? What if I just made it so that my hand could do a full 360? What's the psychological implications on that? We've already discussed how some
people think about that.
Is it though? We won't know that until we actually properly try
that's the thing, because our locomotion on our motion range of motion on our wrists is only limited because of the setup of our forearms.
True.
If we didn't have that setup,
right? But there are some people out there that have zero issue with first-person shooters, and there are some people that get horrific motion sickness from first-person shooters.
That's not the same thing. When you're talking about proprioception, your awareness of your own body, being able to turn your wrist all the way around as a full 360 is far less of an impact, because we are used to our hands being mobile, than it is, say, if we were to replace our entire arm with something that looks more like, metal pipes and a couple of clamps on the end.
Right, but what if, psychologically speaking, right?
What if you see your hand turning around and your brain goes, "That's not right," and freaks the fuck out? Like, that. Oh my god, you just broken your wrist.
Not just that, but you've got nerve endings firing that in an order that they shouldn't be able to fire in, right?
That is true.
Right. So this is what I mean. right? A lot of this stuff we are talking about, we can't really make a decision until like this is one of the biggest bugbears. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, right? I genuinely am not.
Good.
Right? But we don't know what the long-term biological impacts are of things like Pfizer, which aren't a true sense of the word vaccine, right? It wasn't a dead copy of the virus. It was this weird half-baked Loz would be able to explain this in a heartbeat. It's this half-baked amino acid string on, and the thing is, like, so much of it was missing. God knows what the rest of it is. I could be chemically neutered for all I know, because I was rushed into taking this drug that hadn't been properly tested, right? And that's a lot of the side of this, is we don't know a lot of the effects. I mean, hell, I could be chemically neutered because I've drunk too much Lucozade. We just don't know, right?
Okay, so let's
actually that is something that's like a lot of the artificial sweeteners they're finding actually make you more prone to gaining weight, even though you're not eating sugar.
Let's compare this, because you said about the prosthetics that aren't shaped the right way. Those runners with the blade legs, those,
but they're not getting feedback. They're not getting biofeedback.
No, they're not getting biofeedback, but they are the wrong shape, and they are too light for regular feet. But they are tuned to perform the same way as a regular foot would. And so those people, let me finish. Those people have not, over the last 20 years of them existing, experienced the kind of dissociation that we're worried about with cyber prosthesis.
That we know of, certainly. But my
point, I would argue that they do suffer from
Xeno talk. Xeno, shut up! Why?
Phantom limb pain.
I was mid-sentence, man.
Phantom ime pain. That's the one.
The whole point I'm trying to say.
I've got your back, Xeno. I'm not going to interrupt you.
I hate the pair of yours. Anyway, the point I was trying to make was, if you were to slowly introduce someone to an artificial prosthetic, and they're okay with it, and you try this whole, you try a whole dynamic range of, tests and things like this, and again, they're able to cope with it, right? Then yes, you can go into more exotic prosthetics, right? You get like an
interface device on your stump, and then you slowly upgrade what's on the end of that interface device, step by step, to see what you can tolerate.
It's supposed to be something that is properly studied and tested, and make sure that you're not putting yourself in any further risk. Much like the cyberpsychosis that the Cyberpunk series comes into. It's supposed to be like a healthcare system that prioritizes making sure that you are okay as an individual with the cybernetic. I think personally, kids, right, younger generations and things that will not have fully developed their neural pathways and things, will have an easier time with
more adaptable.
Yes.
Right. But again, I think there are things that we can do to easily, like, I personally like the whole thing about video games, first person shooter shit. I think the big thing with that is I'm able to handle it better because I've been playing first person shooters since I was 7 years old, right? Yes. I've been able to brain think this stuff good. And thus I'm able to accommodate so much more. Like, again, the number of friends I have that can play, like, and I think we should move on to Ghost of Shell. The number of friends I have that complain that a sprint is on left shift, and like, I have never had an issue with this because I have the little finger, the left little finger of a god,
the Warframe little finger of God.
Because I've been using it since I was 7.
Yeah, so two things. The first is, Cyberpunk does in fact have that, in a way. So there's actually supposed to be immunoblockers that you're supposed to take to make sure that your body does acclimatize and accept the new prosthesis. Now, in the anime, of course, it's not treated as an optional thing that he blows off.
I want to check with that.
It's not like rejecting an artificial organ or an organ transplant or something. It's that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about
no. I get you.
Acclimatizing your nervous system.
With a mental thing. Yes, this is supposed to help with a mental thing as well. Okay, that's what these pills are supposed to do, and of course they treat them like this thing that he can ignore flagrantly because he's built different, and then goes overboard on. So, but of course, as Xeno mentioned, this brings us on to another anime.
Would you put your brain in a robot body?
Well, that's the thing.
So that's the question. Yes.
This character right here, has had a prosthetic body since birth.
No, not since birth.
Not since birth.
Well, she was
since a very young age.
She was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Was it 4 or 5? No, because I recall that she had a defective body from birth. And so she was put into the cyber body before she was old enough to even take on the idea that she was in a cyber body. So she's been completely raised year on year with just an upgraded cyber body.
Maybe it's a specific version, but in Standalone Complex 2,
spelled that all wrong.
There's the story of a young boy and a young girl who suffered a terrible accident. I think it was like a plane crash or something. They were the only survivors. And the boy, the little girl was in a coma, but the boy did wake up, and he only had control over his left or right arm, and he just spent day after day making paper cranes. They tried to convince him to actually go fully cyberized, and he basically said, until I can do paper cranes in a fully cyber, and they brought her back.
Because she went and practiced and made them. And
no.
There was a whole thing. She tried to prove that she could.
Yeah. But then by the time she went back, he had gone, and he had died in one of the wars, and they never met again. Yeah.
But the key thing they showed was that she was able to fold paper cranes one-handed with one of these things.
At the end,
cyber body, and yes, but either way, it was a thing of she wasn't old enough to really comprehend that her body was even different. It was cyberized, yes, but that was just her way of life.
Yeah,
and throughout the entire thing, her body was never a meat body; it was just her brain, and the whole conflict came from mental conflict in her head. Was she a real person? And by the time we see her in the original Ghost in the Shell movie, she was fully confident in herself.
Like, not to get weird about it, but kids are incredible at how they are to adapt to things, to any situation.
Approximately age 9.
There you go. The kids.
She had trouble adapting to the use of her body, which resulted in her inadvertently breaking one of her favorite dolls and crying at the same time. So yes, she was old enough.
But the whole point is, like, kids' ability to adapt to any situation is like one of the most fascinating things about humanity, right? My
parents were never able to program the VCR properly, but I could because I was a kid, and I grew up with that shit.
Not just that, but like we see prejudice all across the spectrum of life, be it to do with sexual orientation, race, gender, you name it.
Oh yeah,
my
grandfather would just throw around the N-word liberally because he was born in the 30s.
But
he didn't know any better.
But Nasuth, shut up. But the big point is though that kids can acclimatize to like any situation, and if they see a situation where little Timmy has two dads, and Timmy asks his parents, little Timmy has two dads. And Billy
Little
asks,
Lola.
why does Timmy have, little Lola asks her parents, why does Timmy have two dads? And well, Timmy just has two dads. They just be like that sometimes.
Sometimes dads can love dads and mums can love mums, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
And I love that wonderment of kids. I love that ability to just learn and not get stuck in a rut thinking that they know everything like adults are so inclined to do.
Not until they're teenagers. That's when it kicks in.
Even then, we have plenty of stories where kids abandon their friends, but specifically because their parents tell them to. Their parents give them some information that is blatantly wrong or false, and the kids just adopt it and perceive it that way because that's what their parents must be right. That's the thing. And so if Karen mum tells little Billy not to hang out with little Timmy because he's got two dads and that's wrong, then
little story time, minor story time. So I am the youngest of four, right? And my I used to hang out around this one individual who was extremely toxic, who was an extreme negative force on my life, and I eventually realized that I was getting really unhappy just being around this individual. And ultimately, I turned around and said to them, like, look, I don't want anything to do with you anymore, right? You call me up in the middle of the night, you make me worry, you're on your own, just don't have anything. And when I told my mum this, she was like, oh, thank God it took you long enough, right? Because she had, I was the fourth one. She knew that if she tried to influence me to make a decision, like she knew eventually I'd make the right decision, right? But
if she tried to make you do it, you would be obstinate. Yep. So
side note. Side note. I know why, but I also want to know why. Motoko's uniform has that addition.
Which edition?
What, the epaulets or the pocket things?
Yeah, specifically the nipple stripes.
A lot of the pockets have that pleated. That pleated.
But it
thing
just
in the middle.
It just seems to be one of those things of that.
Well, anyway.
If she's got a fully cyberized body, why would she even have those in the first place?
She likes to dress like that because it puts people off their guard.
That's a good point.
One thing I'd be very interested to knowing, right? And obviously we could only find this out, in a Ghost in the Shell sort of unit. Like, how old could you actually live for in a fully cyberized body?
Well, eventually your brain cells would still break down unless you're in a cyber brain. Like if they move your all your memories into a cyber brain.
No, but I think a cyber brain still has a brain core.
Yeah. If there's any biological part to it at all, it would eventually break down because that's just how cells work. Once your telomeres break off, you start getting bad cells and bad copies. And,
there is.
Degraded
cancer
But the idea is,
here's
how
the theory.
Could you live
Yeah.
Here's a theory. Quite a lot of people have pointed out that the rise of things like cancers and things and dementia has only become a thing because the average age of living has gone up. We actually spend more time old than we do young. So we end up with far more age-related illnesses in later life because we're actually living longer.
Because we can't stop the telomeres from breaking down yet.
Yes.
Telomeres?
So
telomeres? I can't remember what it is in
telomeres.
So
you're right.
The theory would be that if we have a biological brain in a cyberized body, it would still suffer from the same mental degradation. So
unless we can stop those errors from happening in the first place. We're working on that.
There are people that are completely compos mentis all the way through to 100 plus years old and are only limited by their bodies. So those people could quite easily live for another 30 years theoretically. So we could push the actual age up to maybe 120, 130 years old before mental degradation kicks in for everybody across the board.
But not 100, not 160. That's when the
that's too much.
What's it called? No, that what's it called? Oh damn it!
Mass Effect.
No. It's Futurama.
Aromatic syndrome.
No, where they come and collect you.
Oh,
because you're
the oh god, the near Death Star.
That's yeah. It's the near Death Star. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the squad is. But anyway, yeah. So that was the joke.
Yeah.
Right.
No, of course, that's Monty Python-esque, isn't it?
How old was? Because was it the first episode of TNG or the second episode? You actually see Bones as a really, really, really old guy. Yeah. And so he was super old at that point. At least 100 and I think 150 or something. But even in the Star Trek universe, that was incredibly old.
Yes, but okay. To counter this as just a concept, thinking of Star Trek, have you ever seen the pictures of the original Star Trek cast when they started playing their parts versus that new J.J. Abrams movie of the same people of people playing the same actors playing the same characters in that time? And have you seen the physical differences between I think it's the 28-year-old that played Sulu and the 40-year-old that played Sulu in the new one? Okay, the difference is stark. Okay, we've all seen good old Shatner when he was 30 and looked today's 50.
Yeah.
Okay? But he was like 25 or 26 in that. But Chris Pine is in his 30s when he plays it and looks like a little boy.
Yeah.
So the difference. So in the counter is in the last 70 years, we have started staying young for longer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
It all depends on how what kind of life you live and what chemicals you take into your body.
Diet, medical
I'm not gonna lie,
yes.
right? Okay, granted, I lost my hair around 20, right?
Yeah.
But I knew people around the same age as me, and they were grey. They aged so rapidly. I'm just like, fucking Christ.
Yeah.
For those of you at home, I am only 3 months younger than Xeno.
But also, like, even drinking, like,
I am so sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean,
even drinking hot drinks can like, the hotter the drink, the more damage you do to your throat, and the more damage you do to your throat, the more your cells have to divide, and the more your cells have to divide to fix the damage, the more telomeres you break off, and the more likely you are to get throat cancer.
Right. I kind of want to spin this in a different direction.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And that is actually psychopaths.
Okay.
Right? So we've been talking about psychology a number of times. We've talked about AI, so on and so forth. The big thing with psychopaths is, well, unfortunately, let's slap spoilers on, please, because this is like a, if you have,
you're going to be really discussing the series, yeah,
really heavily. So the whole premise of the series is that you go along and effectively you can get corrupted as an individual, right? You can be, I suppose it's like how we were talking about children, right? Children adapt to things quite readily. So if standard citizens see an act of violence, they are more inclined to commit violence. That's the whole premise. Yeah. So our police force have effectively these guns that vaporize individuals and only certain individuals can wield these guns. Individuals that have such psychological stability that they can't readily be swayed by acts of extreme violence. Yeah. But the system is flawed because there are certain individuals that can commit these acts of violence, right? And not get picked up by the system. Right? They're not recognized by the system at all. The system can't comprehend that there is an individual.
Is it because they're like sociopaths or something?
Effectively,
they just don't see it as wrong.
No. It's not the fact that the individual doesn't see it as wrong. It's just that the system is not capable of comprehending their thought process.
Right.
And that's the big crux of this. So this is the key spoiler of the situation.
It's like comprehending Alucard's sexuality.
Sure, though I don't see how that's relevant.
It's incomprehensible.
The whole point is that in the AI system that is actually determining whether or not a person should be executed, Judge Dredd style, is basically a huge vat of brains, right? Disembodied brains that are borged together, right? So that they have like a singular objective.
Oh, I've seen that. Okay.
Yes, and they are able to determine the psychological profile of an individual if they have a matching brain, right? If they have a brain of a similar sociopath, then they can actually say this person is committing a crime, right? This person is a...
Essentially, there are so many archetypes in the world, and they try to collect as many of these archetypes as they can. Okay.
Yes. So, you have people that have committed crimes that are effectively dogs on a leash, that they are allowed to hunt down criminals and things. So the first season of Psychopaths is really, really good, right? I didn't particularly enjoy the second season, and I didn't follow it after that, but I know it's had like movies and more seasons. But the first season is really, really good. And the whole point is, and I think we could probably take off the spoilers at this point. So the main question I want to ask is, do you think we would ever get to a point where we are inclined to let something else, be it an artificial intelligence,
definitely,
guide our...
Because I can see
principles.
You hear a lot about how like jury trials are actually flawed because people often go with their emotions rather than the cold hard facts of the case. But not having a jury trial is even worse because that leaves you up to a single person. I can see them trying to saying like, oh, but we can. I think you've even seen it in Futurama where they have computers be in charge of the justice system because the computers are cold, hard, and logical. They can't be fooled. They can't be tampered with. You can't play to their emotion. I could kind of see something like that being introduced, where
until, if they're based off the current one, somebody comes up with a specific wording of defense that completely shorts. Yeah.
I see. This is the... I have a problem with this, is the fact that a lot of events in human history, a lot of our own
are messy and grey. Yeah.
No, not just that, but they're based off of wants and desires.
Yeah.
Right?
They're messy.
Yes.
At no point in time could you ever logistically say that the whole reason why I bought a Valve Index was logically justifiable. It was a fun hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was, but oh no, you're neglecting your significant other, and that money should go towards a house and things. It's like, well, where do you get to fucking decide what my money goes towards, right?
if you're the one who wants to go towards, I can touch anime titties in virtual reality, then it can.
Yeah, but that's not illegal. That's why I think it'd be. Well, I was gonna say I think it'd be harder to justify that, but if you're in a place like China, you could probably justify that. The government would probably rule something like that out just to keep track of its citizens and better control their movements.
Oh, you mean you bring in a cold, hard calculating machine to decide
not just the justice system, but other aspects of life too.
Yeah.
Because the justice system, I can kind of see it should come down to the facts in most cases. But in other aspects of life, it's so messy.
Is this image frozen?
I don't think
Maybe.
so.
But, okay. Here's a comparison. I read a fiction, just an online one, from the, I think it was the Humanity Fuck Yeah and Royal Road kind of area of the internet. And it's the Why Humans Avoid AI. And I really wish I could remember the authors so I could credit them in this. But the simple thing was that the AI is avoided because they brought in an actual AI to the DMV.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay? The American DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, as you know. And
Hell,
they
in
wanted
other words.
to bring this in. And they designed this, and they gave it, unfortunately, vague instructions. Okay? Which was to ensure the safety and efficiency of road travel.
Right.
Okay?
And so it just shut down all the roads.
Almost. The story ended up being that simultaneously across the whole of America, people were contacted by the AI and asked to answer a simple question. And it phrased it as operating a multi-ton vehicle in a factory where you would have to operate with limited sight lines and multiple blind spots. You would be responsible for every single foot traffic person around, and if you injured somebody, you would be immediately arrested and fined. You know? And every person that answered no, that sounds like a horrible thing. You know, I wouldn't want to be in that kind of high pressure job. It said, well, I have just described driving a car. You are, thank you, but your license has been revoked. And revoked literally millions of people's licenses on day one, and then told them to go for public transport. So that was the gist of it. And that absolutely made me laugh, just like Xeno, because it just, the simple thing of bringing in something to make a service, a service that is notoriously bad, better, could easily backfire with bad programming.
Yeah, you've got to give it the proper instructions.
Yes, somewhere like an authoritarian system like China might actually be able to do it, because there are such strict rules that if you don't comply with them, you just don't get it. Yeah. And so this, you could see that being a system where compliance with the rules is so mandatory and so enforceable that might work. But anywhere else where there is these systems,
any degree of freedom still,
with point systems and fines instead of capital punishments, you know, that could be really, really hard to implement, especially their justice system.
Right. There's only other one direction that I want to take this in.
Okay.
Brief, but because I'm keen on the time and everything. Is there anything you two want to touch upon?
Well,
go ahead.
I did want to think of any of the anime that have actually predicted technology that we would have in the future successfully. But
well,
because we've had our Back to the Futures. They predicted hoverboards, and all we managed to get were electronic skateboards. Electric powered skateboards. We didn't get flying cars. We got drones.
I mean, we have talked about some of the stuff like cybernetic replacements, but Edgerunners only came out last year. Was it last year? Year before?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had other stuff like oh god, what is the name of it? Battle Angel, where people had artificial replacements and stuff that actually worked as a real limb that connected to their brain. And
Yes. Okay, I'm going to circle this very quickly, back to Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
Because in the standalone complex, they had a whole system, or a whole arc devoted around a heist that was going on, based on the internet-linked cars.
Oh yeah,
the whole taxi system
we
and
are slowly getting
auto-drive
those.
system.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're having automatically driven cars, which of course means cars are getting smarter, and they're getting small computers in them. And the crime that this guy committed was to use the combined processing power of all of these auto-driving cars to simultaneously assault a bank system. Basically overwhelm its firewalls with multiple accesses. And it basically did succeed right up until it didn't. And nobody really noticed because, of course, it's a system that was overlooked. Now, of course, because we're getting self-driving cars, because we're getting these cars that have levels of auto-drive, even just cruise control, are becoming more and more prevalent. I'd like to think that, that kind of thing was easily predicted by anime.
Yeah.
Man, I remember watching a TV show in the 90s on the Discovery Channel that was talking about them trying to do self-driving cars, and the way they were doing it was like they used like infrared and they used infrared sensors to keep the cars apart, and they used magnetic tracks in the road to keep the cars on track. So if they deviated from the magnet, it would sense that and shift back. So they've been working on self-driving cars for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yes. But it was the computerized versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would actually be smart enough to handle processing. Still. Anybody else have a point? Or
well, the only two I really brought...
move on to Xeno's last one.
The only two I really have that are... So I have Armitage, but we've kind of covered everything in Armitage already with Vivy. The only other two I have are Iria, and that one's mostly for the aesthetic of the technology. The other one was Eden Zero, because it's like, is this really technology or is it just magic? And that kind of goes into the whole, is any sufficiently advanced technology indistinguishable from magic? Are we just using magic rocks to talk to each other right now?
That is very true. So, Xeno, what was your one that you wanted to go into?
So the last one I kind of wanted to go into, which I think, again, is a direction that we could quite possibly see ourselves in, was Patlabor, where, a lot of the time, we see a lot of this technology used for military purposes. Heck, Ghost in the Shell, the main gang are ex-Marines, ex-Rangers, special forces, but the whole thing
except for the one guy.
Yes, yeah. But the big thing about Patlabor is the fact that they have these mobile suits sort of thing. They have these real size robots that are designed specifically for heavy duty labor. So things like building construction could be done so much faster due to like one labor being able to put the I-beams in the right places and things like this.
It's more articulated than a crane.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And I think that would be a really healthy direction for society to go in. Right. It's there are so many jobs out there now that realistically they're too big for people to do, whereas if you had these labors, they could be done so much faster. And granted, there is,
I don't know. There's probably a reason they still use cranes.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
because you can't.
There's also there's cranes, but there's also forklifts and other things they put in there.
Yeah.
So
The
all
problem-
the jobs that a forklift does could be done by that, and
So
more.
the problem that exists with real robots right now is the fact that you can't get the energy conversion good, right?
Yeah.
The weight of an engine is so much heavier than the amount of energy, the amount of kinetic energy you can get out of the engine. Right?
I think it's less likely that we're going to end up with humanoid robotics, and we're going to end up with stuff closer to like what Boston Dynamics is doing with their robots.
Oh yeah.
I think that's much more likely.
Or how about aliens? The
With power
loaders they use
lifters,
in that.
yeah,
The power lifters.
Well,
which are
again,
essentially
that's
glorified
still
forklifts.
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
but that's still in the same direction as the real robots.
Yeah.
Right. Again, real robots aren't that much bigger than the Power Walker from Aliens. We're not talking about super robots here, Evangelion size. But the whole point is that if we did actually find a material that is light enough and durable enough, then effectively we could build these things.
Or
Again,
a motor that's powerful enough. An energy source that's powerful enough.
well,
Every robot has its own fusion reactor. There you go.
It's not it's the conversion. It's the conversion that's the problem.
Yeah.
But,
you need
again,
gears
maybe-
that are,
Maybe it's a case of the real robots are designed for space use, right? Because I think that was the whole point of the mobile suits in Gundam. Is like they were
the
out
original
there for
ones,
space, not for And again, I think these much larger humanoid robots, I think, or these mobile suits, I think is a viable direction for us to go in, as long as capitalism isn't too greedy. But I think that's the biggest problem. It's just it's far too greedy and things like that. That they'll want to massively capitalize on the use of these things, and until there is any form of competition in the market to drive the costs down, But again,
then the cost
I feel like they're never going to be humanoid. They're always going to be some weird shape with specialized tools on them.
Even if it's a case of it's a set of caterpillar tracks, right?
Yeah.
With the ability to have proper
With like articulated arms and specialized tools on the end, rather than hands.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, think of an actual
sirens.
forklift, but with
Exactly.
more articulated arms.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
But again, it's like instead of using levers, you actually have like proper arm trackers and things like
Sure,
that.
yeah.
Like these.
So
that's closer to kind. But
Imagine him without legs.
I don't think.
Imagine him without legs, just going around on a forklift base.
I don't think that they'd ever really do construct. See, you've even got cranes in the background there. Like, I don't.
But that's because it's getting them to a point where the labor can't necessarily carry them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if
you wouldn't
had
use a labor going up hundreds of flights of stairs or always going up in a lift,
right? But imagine you were to have it so, like, okay, how do you get the I-beams off a crane, so off a truck right now, right? You have to get a crane over the truck, lower the winch down, and then lift the actual I-beams off of the truck, right? Whereas if you just had a labor walk up to it,
but the crane can also just stay in one spot and move its arm around, while the labor has to have tracks, area to move around in. That's big enough for it.
Yeah, but like, I mean, these fucking construction sites are massive, dude.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're usually filled with a bunch of stuff
Xeno's
too.
actually got a really good point there. So, one of the things that is very dangerous about operating crane lifts and things is the point of attaching and physically lifting that initial lift of heavy objects. That is often the purview of very well trained and safety conscious individuals. Okay?
Yeah, because you got to
now
calculate
imagine
the weights
if
and
instead of having to do all of that, a crane could just come down, could lower its thing, and a labor, or similar could come along, grab hold of that to keep it tensioned, and physically lift up the load and attach it free of the truck, and then steady it so that the crane could then take the tension and move it away without it endangering any individuals. That in itself is enough of a task that I could see people doing that easily as a technological advance, just for construction purposes.
Maybe it's a case of we don't look at the construction side of things. What about like landfill sites? You don't care about the condition of the shit you're moving around. At the end of the day, it's going to get destroyed or repurposed or whatever. You've got these labourers walking around, picking up physical cars, right, and then moving them to the correct location, right? You could do so much with these things.
But they can already do that with a crane and an electromagnet.
And
if the car's close enough to begin with, sure. Right? It's. I get where you're coming from, Nasuth. Don't get me wrong, but what if they don't have the car close enough to the crane? Then they have to tow it over to there in order to get the magnet to actually pick it up. Right? Whereas if you're just in a labour, I'll just pick it up and I'll put it in the crusher and then I'll walk off and I'll go get another one.
Yeah, it's a completely mobile device so that you can have any layout and any format of waste landfill. Yeah. So, all right, we know it has uses. We can see that becoming a possibility.
Yeah.
If we had the engine power or the materials necessary to actually make that possible. And that's, again, that's almost a post-scarcity thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I do think that there is a relatively large concern about, with any of this technology, the crimes that come with it, right? You don't want what's called a labour pilot drunk driving and going on a wrecking spree. That would be fucking disastrous. Oh, I'm just gonna walk through some people's homes.
Yeah.
Right? Not good.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Teenagers joyriding.
It's impressive how destructible cars are, right?
Yeah.
They hit the exterior wall of a garden and then it's like, oh no, that car's gone.
Yeah, but they're designed to be.
Yeah,
they're designed to do that.
They have crumple zones now.
To protect the passengers.
If you're talking in the 80s and 70s, man, those cars are made of solid steel.
Oh, yeah.
You could crash them into anything and just get cosmetic damage.
Building.
Yeah.
You could have it, right? That the labour could only operate within a certain area. So, how you can get these
electric fences? Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Electronic fences.
Yeah, where basically if
GPS
the dog crosses the fence, right?
The labour just shuts down.
Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the labour just shuts down.
Yeah, you can do that with tech. You can't do that with dogs.
Yeah, the dog just shuts down.
Shut down the dog.
In the village that I lived in before I lived in this apartment, a lady got one of those for her two large Labrador crossed with something like a bear.
Yeah.
And they learned that
Malamute.
the dogs learned that they were Labradors, definitely crossed with something.
Crossed with Malamutes.
Anyway.
So they learned that if they ran up to the fence fast enough and jumped over the garden wall, yes, they would get a shock, but they would be outside the fence anyway.
Yeah,
so
it's supposed to. The idea is that it's supposed to keep shocking them until they go back, but they don't actually do that. It just shocks them when they're right over that area.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, good job.
It should be like the further you are from the space station, the more of a shock it gives you. Yeah.
I'm just imagining these drunken labour pilots sort of jumping over the fence at a construction site going, "Oh, free!" Why is it off?
But with that, you can just send a shut-off signal, and yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, have we got through all your points, and Nasuth?
All the points that I'm satisfied with. Yeah. I think realistically, the direction we'll go in first is artificial organs.
And limbs.
I think. And then we'll heavily go into the artificial prosthetics. After that, probably fully cyberized, and AI will be there alongside at some point.
I think limbs will probably come before organs, because organs are a lot harder to, like, it's gonna be really hard to make an artificial liver, just because of all the ways that a liver has to interact with the body and the complicated chemical processes it has to do. Like the pancreas only really has to do one thing.
When we have to think of artificial livers and things, artificial organs, I think that lab-grown organs
is
might
probably
be
the way
sooner than
first.
that.
Yeah.
Potentially, I feel that Cybernetics, it has a higher chance. I don't know if it has a higher chance.
It depends. Again, it depends on the organ. Stuff like the pancreas,
on the process.
even maybe the kidneys, you could potentially replace with mechanical processes. Hearts, sure, yeah.
I'm not so sure about lungs or liver.
Yeah. Because
Right.
lungs have to do a whole oxygen exchange process, and
But yes, definitely limbs, then maybe construction, definitely military at some point.
eyes. I mean, we've already got artificial ears with cochlear implants and stuff.
Yeah.
But those could get better. And
Definitely.
Yep.
Right, shall we move on to the supporter questions?
Let's do.
Cool. Right, so supporter
That was
questions.
that was a really fun discussion.
Yep. Before I read out the supporter questions, I just want to thank you all for watching/listening to our podcast. Please hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment if there's anything you want to say. We read them all. And don't forget, we're after suggestions for this season.
Animes.
So so Zrugel asks, what's your favorite exotic animal?
It's either a pangolin or a sergal. Not an ocelot, but a sergal.
That's a good one.
Does a jaguar count?
Jaguar counts.
It does. That's an exotic.
Wait, does a tiger count?
Sure, that's
It's
exotic.
especially from us here in the West.
Do you want a regular tiger or a white tiger?
No, regular tiger.
Regular tiger.
I'm
tigers.
Good old Bengal.
Real, like they're treated so fucking badly.
Yeah.
They're basically used to breed, and that's it. I hate that for them.
I'm going to go with a snow leopard. Purely because of those moments you catch them when they've decided to catch their own tail and it's like poof in the mouth.
Yeah.
And they look so goofy.
Missed the opportunity to say honey badger. Oh well.
Yeah. That's not exotic to you, is it? You're American.
No, not really, no.
Right. Nasuth Ocean asks, what anime power would you use to beat the summer heat? Bonus points if it's not just generic ice or water power.
I would use instant transmission and go somewhere cooler.
Like the sun.
That's
like the
a
sun.
good one. I would use solar absorption. Okay,
What,
so
you
that
turn
I
into Venusaur?
No, I would use it so that it literally powers the body like Superman. So I can't get hot because it's all going to power the beautiful temple, which is my form.
But then you'll always be cold.
No, always be a regular temperature.
Actually, to be fair, that's the point. Turn invisible. Because then the light can't hit you.
Bending light rather than just becoming transparent.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Sure.
That's a really good one.
There was a brilliant sci-fi series called The Invisible Man.
Oh yeah.
Now
You're talking about the late '90s, early 2000s one, right?
I think it was early 2000s. Yeah,
the one that aired around the time of Farscape and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really super low budget, but the idea is that this thief ends up getting this gland, and he can't use it for too long because it's basically defective. And
makes him crazy.
But yeah, the big thing was that he gets cold while he's invisible. Because everything's been, so yeah.
I need to rewatch that show. That was a fun show.
Yeah.
Unlike the Fifth Wave, which just got
crazy.
bad.
I was crazy once.
Right, so let's move on to the comments. So first from the news, Zrugel says, "Oh yeah, I heard that people really liked Android 21. and something about the many fans feel there needs to be more female fighters, so they wanted to canonize her.
That, and she's really good fan service material.
Oh my God.
But she's not as fan servicey as I expected, though. If you really look at her, like she's dressed.
Just fan service material.
Moving on to the cast, Strombus Shell says, "I was expecting the arguments to be louder. Not that I'm disappointed." Yeah, you guys need to work on the argument. Please. Been behind on watching a few shows and haven't gotten around to the new Demon Slayer yet. Glad it doesn't get bad or something. Sometimes I want that comfort food. Yeah. This was a long one, but it made good weekend entertainment. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Nearly 3 hours.
We had a lot to say.
We did.
Yeah. And we need to think of cool reasons to use that pretty Nasuth emote.
Petting Nasuth emote.
What was causing that?
Oh, so I figured it out. There's a timer. So when I'm streaming, there's a cat that occasionally spawns in the background with some music. And the timer for that was set to the hand instead of the cat. So, which is actually probably a good thing because it kept the cat from turning on during that episode. Yeah. I remembered to go in and turn it off for this one.
Right. Okay. Cool. So Zrugel had a lot to say, and here's some of the highlights. I would like to say I appreciate the timestamps. The Aristocrats' Otherworldly Adventure was not on my watch list, but I started it out of curiosity anyway. Really didn't think I could get past the first 3 episodes, but I did. I ended up binging the whole thing and laughed most of the way through. I'd give it a 5-star poop. I kept saying, this is a train wreck, but I want to see more. I hated the story, but enjoyed watching it. Also, the humor. I just wanted... I just started watching Otaku Elf. I got about 7 episodes in, and I feel like it's okay. I'm enjoying it, but I don't know. It doesn't do too much. I'm not saying it needs to add things to make it better, but it just feels like I'm missing something. And
then a follow-up to that.
Wait. Watching more of Otaku Elf, and I think I figured out why it's bugging me sometimes. They feature food a lot, and it looks so freaking good, and it makes me so hungry.
It did to me too.
Right? I managed to catch the first episode of Reborn as a Vending Machine, and I really liked it. It didn't take itself too seriously, and the MC isn't overpowered. I'm looking forward to more.
Nice.
And then additional comments.
That myself.
Right. And now it is time for the memes. So, all the memes this week are from the Reddit, apart from whatever ones Zrugel gave us.
I have. Do you want to see Zrugel's first before we get into ours?
No, save it for last.
Save it for last.
Fans submitted memes. This is
fun. So this is what's inspired us. You can always find more memes on twitter.com/Kanpai_cast, as well as
the Discord.
Discord.
Link in the description below.
Also, on a random tangent, I finally managed to get on Blue Sky. So we'll probably set up a Kanpai Cast Blue Sky as well for everyone that's going to get on there. Though there's no programmatic way of dealing with any of that stuff right now. Twitter's the only one with an API, which is...
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so... memes.
Shall we? All right, here's my first one.
Let's go.
Me when I look in the mirror, you want to take a selfie.
Yep. Seems like
I see myself every day.
School clubs in anime, school clubs in real life. In terms of money, we have no money. So true.
Oh yeah.
So true.
Oh.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
What's the?
I don't know how.
What's our budget? Save the trees.
I don't know.
Oh, that's archery. That's archery of something.
Oh yeah.
Yes, archery, football, games, and whatever.
No, it's not football. It's
soccer.
That's volleyball. That's
volleyball.
That's, yeah.
Volleyball.
Yeah,
cool.
I said volleyball.
Yeah.
It's volleyball, Xeno. It's volleyball. I don't know if you knew this, but it's volleyball.
I already fucking, oh my god.
The pupil of your eye can expand as much as 55% while looking at something you love.
That's mean.
That,
But accurate.
Oh, Xeno,
Okay.
it was volleyball.
oh, was it volleyball?
It was volleyball.
Oh, good, yes. I think so.
DC Comics fans, weebs. Suicide Squad Isekai.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
Yes,
I have
it
no
exists.
idea what this is from.
This is after the DC Ruby crossover.
Oh,
There was
God.
a movie out for that. Yeah. They've isekai the DC universe twice in the last year.
No, this
Yeah.
looks like it's My Little Witch.
Yeah,
no,
it's-
Little Witch
it's-
Academia.
Yes.
All I know is it looks cool.
But it's yeah.
But I
cute.
But there
think
is a
that's with
Suicide Squad
another-
anime.
Yeah,
Yes, there
we
is,
know
yes.
about
Called Isekai.
We did it. We did it in the
And-
news last week.
It's yeah.
It's in a
No, we
Ruby
didn't. No, we're doing
isekai.
it in the news this week.
I can't remember what we're doing it this week.
Xeno, spoilers.
Anyway,
Right, but
corporate needs to define the difference between this picture and this.
Come back!
Fine.
Right. So they're both characters from two different Studio Trigger IPs. The Witch is Little Witch
Yes.
Academia. The other one is it Loco Space Patrol or something like this?
I see.
That's- It's
yeah,
like a
Space-
super short web series, like they're 5-minute episodes, but it's super dumb.
It's
It is top notch.
Trigger nonsense.
Trigger, yeah.
But they're both writing
So-
cool things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, one of them's a gun.
High five.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Right.
That doesn't have a trigger where
It's
she's
Studio
sitting.
Trigger, though.
Oh my god.
Corporate needs to define the difference between this picture and this picture. Then the same picture.
Yes.
It's a JoJo reference, you know. It's a JoJo reference.
Yes.
And finally, my last meme.
Okay.
Meow.
Okay.
Down for Thaliens.
Maple of the Wool, what is your wisdom? An inheritance is just your loved ones dropping loot when they die.
That's good.
So true.
Hey mom, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. Youth protection. I'm 15. I'm 30.
I've seen that one too many times. Yeah. Yeah.
I've had to watch generations of your ancestors die, and then you wonder why I don't want to go outside and meet you people. The temporary attachment is in the end nothing but a source of pain for me. I'm sorry, did you say something? Oh, don't mind me, I'm just a funny shut-in elf that loves video games and junk food.
Yep.
I thought you were a man. Oh my god, I can't believe I was in love with a chick. Tomo-san.
Oh, Tomo-chan is a girl. Tomo-chan's a girl,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
Oh my god.
A rock? I'll eat a rock!
Love that one. Yeah, brilliant.
And
Hello, Homer Simpson from The Simpsons. Hello, Daryl from Chilling in My 30s.
oh
I've
lord,
made my choice.
Wait, is that supposed to be Lucy Lawless?
I can't remember.
no.
I recognize the arm thing.
My eyes are up here. I've made my choice.
Yep.
I don't know. And now for Xenos.
Yay! Yay!
Yay!
But there's Natsuno Taizai and Natsuno Taizai. They're both called Seven Deadly Sins.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
So
very, very different.
very, very different.
Is-
You can
is one
change
of-
the order of this.
Is one of them a hentai?
Depending on which one you prefer.
No, it's not. But it's a lot more etchy.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
Right. Moving on. Number 2.
Swiftly onward.
When it's your siblings' turn to do the chores today, and they say that they have plans and they won't be home all day. Me, don't run away from your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Fuck knows what he was talking about during this. I swear to God. Anyway, number 3, Weebs normal. Weebs
Yep.
during quarantine.
I saw this
Weebs
one.
after quarantine. Yeah. I'm just glad neither of you got my last one.
Oh god! What?
So.
Why?
I don't fucking know. Right, video
I
meme.
think if you look, there's actually a structural pillar there. They couldn't have put it on it. So
Probably. But still. Right. Oceano-Co fans trying not to bring up incest every second. I
So
cannot
many.
wait
There's
for the
still so
Oceano-Co
many.
I cannot wait for the Oceano-Co memes to just stop.
There's still so
Like-
many of them.
Right. And then, last but not least, Nasuth.
Oh no!
FYI, don't watch that.
No, don't.
if you're a Christian, that's not the right one.
Definitely watch it.
No, don't.
100%
don't.
watch
Right,
it.
No. Now.
To my Christian friends, I recommended Kill the Kill because, of course, it's the story about the original sin and clothing.
And now for Zrugel's meme. So Zrugel made this because he watched. Well, we'll find. We'll see. We'll see. Zrugel watching Deadmau5 Deathplay. Lemmings and characters with cool powers. Deadmau5 Deathplay just wants to give him plot. He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand. He just wanted to keep watching for lemmings and the cool powers.
I get that. Yeah.
Thank you, Zrugel. Thank you, Zrugel, for making that meme. It was delightful.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine.
Don't forget, you could submit your own memes
Indeed.
in the Discord or in the YouTube, but YouTube will probably just delete them anyway. But, you can do both.
We're a friendly bunch. We'll welcome you there.
Right. Next week, I don't know, fucking clue. I
Something.
haven't decided. I'm pretty sure it's not the 3. I'm very sure it's not.
No.
Yeah.
Although Ayaka
that's
is
the week
already up
after.
to 2 episodes.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
many of them are.
Yeah. Some of them haven't even started yet.
I think the last one I was waiting for to start was Dark Gathering, which was actually aired during this recording. Anyway, so that's it for this week's episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching / listening. And now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai. I still actually have some left.
My God.
Dear gods.